card to help me clarify the situation, because sometimes people may come on and they'll put out an energy that I pick up on, but that's just my lens interpreting that energy. It could be their joy is my anger kind of thing. So I'll pull a card and it helps me to kind of focus in. Plus
Nice.
tarot just helps me focus in general. It's like Adderall for some people. That's my tarot is my Adderall.
Totally.
I love that. Tarot as a mental health treatment.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is for me. It truly is. It's offered a lot of insight, not only into myself, but actually I'm studying the Enneagram. I've taken 4 different classes, still studying. And this last time I pulled cards while I was studying the Enneagram, which is a system of typology for personality. And it
Yeah.
opened it up. It just was like click, click, click all the way through. So
I love that. So on the Enneagram, what are you?
I view the world right now through a 2, the lens of a 2.
Ah,
And I'm pretty confident I'm a 2. Now that could change, but everything about that
no.
resonates with me. So
Honestly, it won't change because I'm a 4 and I have taken the Enneagram I don't know how many times. And I said to a friend once who was teaching it, I thought maybe this time I would come out something different. And she just laughed at me and she says, "Oh no, you're a 4." She says, "You're a redeemed 4, but you're a 4." I was like, "Thank you."
that's
So
funny.
I like the Enneagram. It cracks me up, but I think it's what the Sufis, they would do that, and then that's their set personality, basically, kind of what they came in to work with. And then the rest of their lives they spent basically focusing on the positive aspects, and learning to minimize, I guess, really sort of the other aspects, or just being aware of those more and more so that they could have more of a balance.
So are we rolling right now?
Yeah,
Right?
we are. We'll do the introduction later.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Just sitting here sipping on my coffee and thinking about things. No, I'm glad.
Try to
Hi,
keep
everybody.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing our podcast. Glad y'all could jump in.
Right on. So am I hearing in that like though when you say that through the lens of a 2, that like with Enneagrams, does that potentially, or does it have the potential to change over time?
It can. I mean,
Yeah.
we can disagree, Laurie. I think imagine having an epiphany. That would change. That would be a paradigm shift. You would change your viewpoint radically. That may also lean into having a different lens to view through. Imagine a near-death experience, something like that, something truly profound. Are you still viewing the world through the lens of a 2 or a 4 when going through this experience? And where do you come out at on the other side? When I say that I view the world through the lens of a 2, I also have my wings, which are 1 and 3, and my lines or legs, which are 4 and 8. So I'm never just one lens, but I have a core lens. So even though we, in the Enneagram, we're asked to incorporate a single number to represent the core of our personality, we have 4 friends. We are never limited to one number. It's just, for me, learning about my number and then those numbers that join me. And this is years and years and years. It's like, it's so much. It's so much. It's so fun too.
Well, and the Sufis spent their entire lifetime working like you are with this understanding and working with that information. Absolutely. It's a lifetime process for sure.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's fun too, because the teacher that I go to, she happens to also view the world, and I say it as view the world through the lens of a 2 because I am not locking myself into a number. I'm not a 2.
Yeah.
So that's just choice of word. But she's a 2. Oh, I just did it. And I'm like, I love that. Because 2s they're the helpers. We're gonna come in the room, or do you have a cup of coffee? Would you like some water? Not the doormat, just we're gonna facilitate your benefit and joy in this scenario. So she's the same way. So I love learning with a 2. We also had a 4 in there, Laurie, and she was hysterical. I got to glimpse that aspect. But it helps me too. It's like I hear often, like, well, I've being a tarot reader, I hear often I've set this boundary. This is where my threshold is. But when I am in these classroom settings with all of these numbers around this wheel, it's 1 through 9 is represented in the Enneagram. It allows me to kind of I'm not looking at the world through their lens, but I'm kind of just along for the ride for a few minutes when they express, you know what I mean? It really, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of losing the track here because I'm getting excited, but it gets me really excited. There's also the thought process for me of the Enneagram that in our global population, there are 9 personality types. Of the billions that walk the earth, there are essentially 9. And we are all unique and complex in those numbers. Ones do not represent all ones, you know.
Right.
There's nuances, of course, but it's exciting to think that we are connected so wholeheartedly in this system of typology.
Yeah.
It's just exciting for me. And the Enneagram for me is a better way to shadow work, for a use for a metaphysical or tarot term. Shadow work has become less scary because I know it's okay to explore the deeper facets of my personality.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like I got a book I can go look at real quick and it will tell me what it was a 2 I'm thinking about, instead of going, oh my God, what does that mean? What's the Hierophant doing here? You know, with a tarot card. So it's a good backbone for my exploring the inner self.
Interesting. That would be a good class for you to put together the tarot and the Enneagram and have people do the Enneagram if they haven't, and then work with that. And the tarot would be like a several session class maybe, but that would be fascinating how it all works together.
I want to. I had a very joyful moment when my instructor, Nancy, was like, I would like you to teach a class when you feel comfortable. I was like, oh my God, my ego shot straight out of my head. I was like, yes, I will do that. Give me a year or 2, but we're getting there. But yes, Enneagram and tarot. It's anything with tarot, anything you put with tarot, I'm probably your girl. I'll try it out.
So right before we hit record, you were going to pull a card to see how where our conversation might go today. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, do this in real time.
The Wheel of Fortune was pulled before we started. So that's
interesting.
kind of like anything we want to talk about, but pulling a second card to move from that energy is the 9 of Pentacles. And that happens to be, it's not my signifier, but it's one of my favorite cards, because the idea of the 9 of Pentacles to me is that the character in the card started with barren land and built a garden. And it's something that they can look upon and see their labor, effort, and time and energy reflected back in physical form, manifestation. And it happens to be a very lush garden in the 9 of Pentacles. And so I'm always happy to imagine myself there. So this means to me that this energy that the 3 of us are sharing, this scenario that we're creating, is a beautiful process, the 9 of Pentacles.
Nice. Oh, that's so cool. I like that.
How
did you get into all of this? How did you start with tarot?
I guess, let's see, in 2019, end of 2018, beginning of 2019, I had a major shift in my life. My husband broke his hip in September 30th of 2018. And it was a really reflective point in my life, because I was an alcoholic, out of shape, overwhelmed, and probably facing a breakdown. And what kind of brought me back was I couldn't physically help him. You break your hip, you know. So I'm like, oh my God, I've got it. So I stopped drinking. And I stopped. I know I'm getting to kind of a broad story here. Edit. But I started using cannabis again, and it completely replaced my desire to drink, to alcohol, to kind of sublimate myself with the alcohol. And I instead began to expand. And from that became a closer feeling to wanting to help my body rather than hurt it. So I became healthier. I was able to help my husband through his healing process. I started looking inward to find what would rejuvenate me, because I'd been drinking for so long that I was kind of just under this horrible alcohol blanket. And tarot had always been on my radar because it sounded cool. And I decided that in 2019, when I turned, can't do math, that many years ago, I'm 49 right now, that birthday, I cracked open a tarot deck, and I have not put it down since.
Wow.
So, it's been a wonderful experience. And tarot is a self-set pace, and you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And barring malicious intent, there is no wrong in tarot. So it's a wonderful confidence builder too, kind of coming out, you know, from under that alcohol blanket and going, can I even function in this world? What's my place? And how much hate do I have for myself from having been the person that I was? Tarot gave me the 9 of Pentacles. and showed me that this world that I create, my reality, is always beautiful, no matter what it is. And it gave me the sun card. I can illuminate the lives of others by illuminating myself first. You know, a lot of confidence building in tarot. So I guess it just, and it really, really shocked me that I actually committed to it. I actually did this. I learned this. Because usually I'm like, well, that's boring. Bye-bye, you know? So it speaks to me, it speaks through me, it speaks with me. It's a wonderful thing. It's like a mountain, you know, all of those prepositions. Tarot is the same. It's wonderful.
So how much do you think that, like, as you're learning that, did you start with the more of the, I want to say literal, but that's probably not the right word, but, you know, following the deck and the book and what things mean? Like, was that a journey to move from that into more of an intuitive space? Like, I'm even hearing the visuals and the stories and what you're saying now. That's really just beautiful. And yeah.
Yes, you are exactly right. I learned the guidebook. I am a reader that finds the traditional meanings imperative to be learned. This is solely my lens, guys. But I went from there to intuition after a solid year, 18 months of doing nothing but reading guidebooks and giving free readings. Laurie, you're one of the people that I called up first, and that shook me to my bones because I was like, I'm reading for Laurie Hewitt, and it was a wonderful reading because Laurie, and I want to share this story about Laurie later, but she really guided me to meet one of my spirit guides that is still, I think about this all the time. But the thing about what I run several meetup groups now at this point, but one thing I always say is that with learning the traditional meaning, if your intuition ever falters or seems to just skedaddles off and you're not sure where it went, you can always fall back to the traditional meaning. You can still deliver a reading. It can be cut and paste, but you got it out, you know, that kind of thing. But I also know readers who have never looked at a book, read purely intuitively, and do a wonderful, wonderful job of delivering the message. So it really is, there is no wrong in tarot. I love it.
What would you say is the role of the cards? Like, do you ever envision, I've wondered about this before, like, does there ever come a point for you where you don't even feel like you need the cards anymore, where you just, or do they kind of, are they a guidepost or a reflection or a meditation or?
Yeah, I think I still need the cards, but I view your question like, so as I've journeyed this path, the metaphysical path, the spiritual path, I've also identified two very strong clairs I have, and they come through with the cards. So I can pull any card and get a visual. It might have nothing to do with the card, but that card being pulled does prompt the clair to come through. Clairvoyant and clairaudient. I'm saying that right? So without the cards, this is so strange you asked this. I gave a client reading, it was about a week ago, and I told her about my clairs, but I read from the cards, and she said, well, just don't look at the cards and tell me what you're thinking. What are you seeing when I say this? And okay. And I thought, holy shit, I've never done that. And I did it well. So there has been that situation where I hadn't pulled a card. I can't believe you asked me that because I kind of forgot. But I think too, I get a physical sensation in my hands when I pick up my deck. It is such a part of me. It's in my purse when I leave the house. I mean, I go with a deck. It doesn't have to be a particular one. So it's that comfort and confidence level I get of having that deck in my hand, even if I'm only going to use my clairs, which I haven't. I want to do it, but that's going to be something I'm going to need to work towards, that comfort of not using the card.
Well,
Oof, that's a big one.
I'm thinking about, I recently saw a sound healer here in Kansas City who worked with they weren't the singing bowls in the way that I knew them. They were more like bells. They had handles and they were glass and crystal. And he had a really wonderful explanation of how he had learned to use these. And part of it was that the bowls were almost like completing a circuit. Like, it wasn't just making the sound, it was like amplifying that energy that was coming through him and completing a circuit. And even reflecting on the fact that that was a tool for him. And it would have been a very different experience had he not had a crystal singing bowl in his hand. You know, the energy might have been there, but that was our way of connecting to it, you know, and thinking I can see the cards or a pendulum or whatever it might be, whatever your tool of divination is, as being something like that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a wonderful, it's wonderful. In giving a reading, there's three entities: the cards, the reader, and the querent. Always the three, you know. So there's this beautiful kind of relationship that's formed, a trinity. that's
Mhm.
formed with the cards, with anything, with the pendulum, with the crystal bowls, with
Mhm.
anything, with the bells, the frequency, the vibration, just any of the clairs. It's always going to involve more than one person.
You
Never
know,
said.
I bet that you could simply hold your cards, not even look at them, but hold them because of that energy you were talking about, and start to receive messages for people.
I'll try that. And
Yeah.
I sometimes I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Like, just hold them. Thank you, Laurie, once again.
It just makes sense to me. I mean, I understand that connection. I'm the same way with my stones. It's like when I'm channeling for people, I'm always guided to which crystal to hold. And it's about the vibration of the crystal. And so when the person comes, when I start talking with them, it becomes clear to me, oh, they chose this stone for whatever reason. Like a lot of times I'll pick up the rose quartz. I'll think, huh, that's an interesting stone. But then when I start working with the person, it's all about opening their heart space and, feeling into that place of love. And it's like, then in my head, it goes, okay, never doubt what I'm told because it's always based on their guidance saying to me, this is the crystal that will help your vibration connect with them and what they need to get today. And I wonder if the cards are similar for you, that energy just holding them will connect you with the vibration of them, but also whoever you're going to channel.
I think it would. I like this idea a lot. And it's a confidence booster to have that tool with me, to have it, in my hand.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
That,
it's like I don't need to hold a stone to channel, but when I'm working with someone, like you say, it just kind of helps that energy to shift and in some ways, I think, connect me to the other person.
mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
like
that's so
I like
cool.
that. Do
Okay,
you
so
have, oh,
I'm gonna put you on a spot. I'm gonna put you on the spot. So, got your cards there?
I do.
Just kind of shuffle them a little bit and just hold them. Don't look at them, just
Oh,
hold them.
okay. Let me put these three back in. I want to I want to work with a full deck.
Yeah, we all need to have a full deck most days.
Okay. Well, I'm shuffling. Go ahead. What are we
Okay,
doing?
so just take a deep breath and just kind of clear your mind and just hold the cards, just kind of shuffle them, and then just tune into Tim for a moment. And is there a message for him today?
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Tim?
Yeah. This is like the most action-packed episode. Yeah, we're doing things here, making them happen.
I think you bring a card slinger on board. You don't know what you're gonna get. All right. I'm gonna
Don't
go
look,
ahead. My
don't look
eyes are
at him.
shut.
Okay.
And then the process for me is I shuffle and cut. So I'm actually gonna cut.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, before I do, Tim, are you open to whatever I receive, or would you like to offer direction on what I'm about to receive?
I'm open to anything. Yep. Also
All right.
open to editing later if it's too personal.
Thank you. Thank you.
The
Thank
man with
you.
the power.
All right. Laurie, I'm not looking. I'm putting my cards down, but I am going to flip the top one. I won't look because it's such a process,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
no, I get it. Yep.
But I have my left hand on the pile. My
Okay.
non-dominant is on the pile. My right hand is resting without looking on the card over here. And I'm looking at, I'm asking if there's anything that I can hear or see with my eyes shut about Tim. Okay, this is so strange. I do see something. I'm pulling a card without looking for clarification. Laurie, I love this exercise. I'm totally doing this by room. So I see you, Tim. Well, I see a person. And they're standing like, it's a very radical slant, perhaps the ground, perhaps it's a pathway that was built, but it's pretty steep. You're standing upright. So you look, oh, is that like an angle? You're forming I don't math, some kind of angle. But next to you, what you're looking down on, I want to say is water, but it has a very mechanical feel to it. This is more like you're in like an industrial area or some kind of like tech energy. You'd be working in like a server room to have this kind of feeling around you. So if it's not organic, and I don't believe it is, what would this, I'm pulling another card without looking, and I'm asking now with this vision, what does this represent? You're trying to cross over the water, the mechanical water, while also going up this exceptionally steep hill. even though you're unsure of the footing, you are absolutely adamant that you're going to climb. Okay, so I'm pulling another card without looking. This just tickles me. All right. Why is he going up the damn hill? Because you want to look down. You're going up this hill, like you feel like you're going to reach some sort of apex, but it's going to be like a plateau, a safe place to stand, because you want to see what's below you. So why does he want to see what's below him? Because you want to save the people that are below you, but they're so far down and you don't have any rope. You'd have to climb back down, talk to them, get an idea of what they want, climb back up and look back down, all the while putting yourself, I believe, in harm's way, because I don't like the ground that you're walking on. It's just not sure footing. But you would be willing to make this up to that plateau, to see the people below you, go back down to them, to ask them what they need, what they want, what you can provide. You're not a doormat. You're doing this from a logical standpoint, and then going back up to look down again. There's some sort of upset in communication. Why can't you stay with them to have this conversation, to find out what they need? You can't. You have to go back up. Almost like IRL, you might be dealing with people who are speaking several languages, or if you are in the tech field, maybe you're describing in a way using the lingo of someone in your field, explaining it to like a Luddite. That probably wouldn't work. There's some kind of breakdown of communication here. Tower of Babel moment. Does that mean anything?
It does to me.
Oh, well, maybe I was reading Laurie.
No, for Tim. Tim.
Oh, okay.
So Tim, first though, how does it resonate with you?
Well, the tech stuff, I mean, I'm transitioning into going to school for hypnotherapy. And interestingly enough, I just watched a lecture the other day that was, someone was demonstrating how to use storytelling as a way of accessing the subconscious. And funny enough, the metaphor they used was climbing up a mountain and being able to see wider vistas and things like that. And so in some ways, it's almost like in my auric field, whatever you would call it, that metaphor is there, you know. So I feel like you're connecting to my journey with that right now. And that idea of going back down is like going back into that world that I came from, that I no longer want to be in the tech world, right? But also recognizing that I'm still working in that world in some way. Like there's this shift in consciousness and evolution that's happening in our communities, and wanting to be of greater service by aligning to something that I'm more passionate about. So
I like that. I like that. And you mentioned the vista, the opportunity to broaden your view. In the vision, you only looked down. You never looked around. So perhaps this is more tarot, the visual's gone. I would say in that is that while you do make this transition, you're actively doing it, you are going to school, you're pursuing this goal, this is beautiful, to not get lost in the people keeping you locked into that previous life. And that could just be, hey, dude, haven't talked to you, let's get some coffee. This is someone that you used to work with. You're like, that's safe. No, it's not necessarily, because what are they going to want to talk about? Right. So when you do transition, I don't excise people, because everyone, and I say this in a beautiful way, is a tool, and you don't want to throw your tools away. But consider that some tools are best left in the toolbox for at least a period of time. Once you do feel that you have gone into the new career, that you no longer need to be in the previous, give yourself a few big breaths before you interact with those that you left.
Yeah, that does resonate. I just recently turned down a full-time job because I knew that it would take, like, if I'm really committing to this new life, I know that working 40 hours a week and then doing 20 hours of school on top of that is going to really kind of self-sabotage. So kind of trying to make those decisions. Yeah.
I love that. I love that, because that offers me clarity to what I just said. That's kind of, you know what I mean? Because like saying this stuff, I try to be broad, but it's also like, not sure what this means. Please, God, throw me a bone.
Yeah, no, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. I could see it too. You were very visual storyteller. That was great.
Thank you so much. I'm as a two, as viewing the world through a two, my heart is singing. I am the helper, so I am helping. So as a four, Laurie, no. But what were you going to add to this?
Oh no, you got it. It's, to me, it was like his journey from the tech world up to something, to more of a healer, doing what you want to do, Tim. I guess I saw the back and forth as more of y- as you reach this level of proficiency with the work you want to do, being able then to help others to also move up if they want to, or, healing folks in a sense. But yeah, you were dead on. And you didn't look at the cards.
No, I am. Oh yeah, I am curious. Now
Yeah,
I
I'm
am.
wondering how the cards line up with what you actually received.
I'm trying to. Well, Page of Pentacles to Death, to the Six of Cups, to the Ace of Pentacles, to the Hermit. I don't actually remember exactly what I just said.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I'm going to re-listen to this. Like, I'll listen to this podcast,
Sure.
and then when I listen to the story, I'll be able to tell you. Although Death being here.
Well, death certainly fits because it's all about change,
Mhm.
moving forward, leaving your old self behind in a way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So and I see it, and I do see what I was saying, and it does flow, but not but with the Hermit as the final card. Let me ask the clarity card with my eyes open.
Interesting.
Oh, Three of Swords. So it's a good thing. The Hermit's wonderful. You're going into hypnotherapy. This is based on the Rider-Waite Smith deck. The Hermit carries a lantern. It's a soul figure on a card carrying a lantern, but what's inside the lantern is the literal star from the star card. So you've got a second major arcana within one. It's a very powerful card. That kind of energy cannot be disrupted. It's a healthy mode to go into that you can remain in for as long as you want, because you're still in touch with your inner self. It's not depression. It's not wallowing in pity. It is actually taking the time to discover what's within. When it's followed or in conjunction with, rather, the Three of Swords, and then and the Eight of Pentacles. So this is that idea of me asking you to take a few breaths before you reconnect with those that you worked with before. It's the Three of Swords is not it's a heartbreak card is the idea here, but it's about healing. Those swords you can remove from your heart. You just have to let those scabs become healthy pieces of skin before you reintroduce what put those swords there to begin with. We can't avoid mayhem or chaos in life. That's totally cool, but we can take a hermit or a pause from it. And that has to be a choice that you make.
Mm.
So that hermit or pause could be 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. It's totally up to you.
Yeah. That's so reflective of my journey right now.
Yes.
Just really making that decision. And it's funny, even the energy that you pulled with the first card, that idea of like, what are we building? And for me, it's been a shift in having this voice that's telling me at points, Tim, you're not being a responsible adult going to school at this point in life, and investing in these things. And but also recognizing that what I'm doing is investing in myself so that I can more align to a life that I actually want to live. So it really has been a pause in that sense of like, I'm taking my resources to be able to give myself the time to learn new skills and be in the world in a different way. And I think that's happening for a lot of people right now. There's so many people in my circle, my circles that, that are making this choice. They're like, the old way is not working for me. And to hit that wall of resistance time and time and again, it's like there's so many people that feel like are so close to getting over it now and like being in the world in a way that is more aligned. And
Yes.
that's an interesting time.
And for your path to pull that Eight of Pentacles, you are already in that. You are already practicing your skills and you're aware of them. You're not in the beginning of the Pentacles. You're already at the Eight. You're like, I'm here. I know my shit. I know my gifts and I'm going to nurture them. I can help myself and I can help others by doing this, by embracing this. So it's a beautiful card to pull.
So moving on, I'm curious about your story about Laurie.
Oh, yes.
Make sure we make time for that. Yeah.
Sure.
So I was in a room and with Laurie, several other folks as well, because we love Laurie, Team Laurie. And I won the reading, random reading. I was like, and I don't quite remember how it started, but Laurie, you ended up saying, so at the time I was cognizant of two spirit guides, which I've named Tyne and Ruby. and they're not human. And I'm at my happy place. They're always at my happy place. I have this very elaborate happy place in my mind. And Laurie says, well, you have a very strong, you may have said guide even. And I'm thinking, no, you know, like, no, there's no one here. It's just me, Ruby, and Tyne. And you insisted that there was someone there, something there. So I actually in my head turn around, and I hadn't realized that the center point of my happy place is a large campfire. It's huge, 12 feet tall, easy. And that was one of my guides. And the entire happy place is centered around that fire. So you pointed out that my guide, one of them, is the element of fire.
Wow.
I mean, and it was when you were reading, you weren't like, oh, maybe not. You're like, no, it's there. Like, it's right there, dude. So I had the confidence and the encouragement, Laurie, to look around my happy place, to look around my inner landscape, my realm, to cite an additional guide for me to
That
lean
is so
into.
cool. Thank you.
Thank you, because I've had wonderful, wonderful visions. I don't speak. There's no verbal communication with my guides.
Mhm.
A lot of walking into or being or having them walk into me in my head. We enter each other's bodies,
Mhm.
and I realized I can walk into fire, and I've done it with energy exchanges now. So it's new to me. It's a beautiful process, but I'm so grateful for that reading that I got from you. I mean, like, just
Oh,
so grateful, so impactful.
that's lovely to hear. Thank you. That's great feedback. I don't remember at all that I said that, but I'm glad I did.
I think it's common on readers. It's like, do you remember that reading I gave you? No.
No.
Even if it was 5 seconds ago, I dump it as soon as I'm done talking.
It's
Yeah.
funny even bringing it back into this journey with hypnotherapy, like recognizing I think a lot of readers when they are doing that are in a bit of a trance state. You know, they're
Yeah.
accessing
Mhm.
different brain waves, you know, different intuitive connections and things. And that one of the side effects of that is a little bit of amnesia. Like when you come
Mhm.
out of that, it's like you don't fully remember. You're not connecting to it on a conscious level. So
Right.
it's kind of fun to see those parallels between this, you know, this science of the mind and intuitive um, perception. Yeah.
Yeah. What's really interesting for me and a new experience is when I channel interstellar beings, the cosmic beings, when they come in, um, it's almost like I get pushed aside and I can hear myself talking. It sounds like somebody talking in the other room, but I have no idea for the most part what they're saying. And then they'll step out, and then I have to ask somebody, what did they say? Because I don't always hear it. Where when I'm channeling spirit, it's more of a conscious 2 or 3-way conversation until we're done. And then I don't remember anything later. If somebody asks me what I said, it's like I have no idea. That's why we record them.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see that. Yeah. I've had that kind of like in the middle of a conversation or reading, and I'll kind of come back in going, what did I just say? What did I just say? Crap, pull a card. But yeah, it can be a little, it's okay, it flows, but golly, it's kind of a shift sometimes when I realize I'm doing it, because I'm very new to it. And I actually never considered that I could channel, and I'm still kind of moving into it. But Valerie Lewis of Tarot Unicorns and Coffee was like, oh, I've seen you channel. I'm like, oh, she's like, no, I've seen you channel. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take that. I'm taking that from Valerie and I'm going with it. And it was kind of like not opening a door, but I was given a key to put in the lock and given the choice to open the door.
Well, and my experience is the best tarot readers are the ones who channel. And so many of them do, but a lot don't. But to me, that's the people I like to get readings from. You, Valerie, Kendara, all the folks that I know, they use the cards, but they're clearly getting information that's beyond even the cards. Or they're looking at the card and getting the interpretation, getting the message through their channeling, and then giving me that information. So I love that. And see, you can do it.
Absolutely. And I want to share a quick story. So there's I run a couple groups, and one of the group a woman that channels, and she's new, she's experimenting, and I said, okay, I'll call her Rose. That's not her name, but I'll call her Rose. I was like, okay, Rose, we're just going to try to channel tonight, you and I, because this is right after I had that client reading where I was used this clairaudience, and I was blank. Nothing came in. not a single clear was coming up for me when I purposely went into channel, and I thought, well, shit, you know, so I went back to my cards. But that's okay, because it doesn't always come through. Or sometimes I'm getting like, just like, what is this? No, we're just going to kick this out. Come back next month when you can draw this a little bit better. And other times it is so detailed, it is absolutely insane, like down to shades of color. So
Yeah,
I
there's
love it,
something.
but it's hit or miss. Go ahead.
There's something validating about that. Like even thinking of Valerie, she has a story about pendulums, you know, this idea of like when you're working with pendulums, you know, you'll often get that question. It's like, aren't you moving it though? You know, and Valerie's response is like, yes, probably, but who's moving me? You know, and but I really love that idea that it can almost be validating when we don't get the messages, because it's like if it was on demand every single time, there might be more of that thought, I'm making this up, you know, but it's really like we listen, and sometimes there's something there, and sometimes there's not, you know. It's
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was going to say, like, people in the metaphysical community, I've heard like imposter syndrome, but that can also be performance anxiety. You know, I have to read now. Oh, I don't know what these cards are, or I want to channel. There's nothing here. And I'm not going to let that build, because it's okay. No matter how I get the message, it's okay. And as long as I remember that, because I have enough on my plate worrying about something here or something there, that to add to it, to keep those scales forever imbalanced, is not cool for me. So I share when I'm open. I don't have anything to give you. I can't get a message. I'm going to reshuffle the cards. I'm going to grab a different deck. I'm not going to read for you because nothing's coming through, because it's not 100%. Nothing in this
Right.
world is 100%. And in the
Exactly.
further I embrace that, the softer that I approach this world, this reality with my energy is softer. It's not going to come in there and take over the room kind of thing.
Yeah, and I find I actually trust readers more when there is some of that present too. Like even Laurie, you know, I remember you checking in with yourself once, like, you know, you getting a message and it's like, hang on for a second, I'm going to check in with myself. I want to make sure I'm not making this up. You know, I was like, oh, this is good. You know, the fact that there's that question there's that human aspect of like knowing that we are bringing these things in through our biological minds that have their own voices and their own egos and things. And it's like if we can have discernment around that and be able to check in and know that sometimes we won't get messages and sometimes we will, and to trust that's okay, then that lets us be in a flow state where when the messages come through, we can trust them more, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's that. And our community, the metaphysical community, is so supportive. I just, you know, it's like I don't really stumble here. I might pause for a long time, but I've never hit the ground. There's always someone there to help me. I love it. Even if it's just to go into an awkwardly Zen, a Zen Zoom, or any of the meetups and just sit quietly and listen. I love it. I just love this community so much. It's so supportive.
Yeah.
Now, what are your meetups?
I have Dallas Tarot Club. I'm based in Dallas, Texas. Dallas Tarot Club and Willow Root Tarot. And I have 2 meetups because of a glitch when I was signing up for a meetup. So I had 2 groups. But yes, I have those 2 groups. We run different events. They're free. I build them as tarot rooms, but they are open to all modalities, all gifts. I have people who don't have cards. Rose, she has been channeling a lot more lately. She channeled that night that I was like, I got nothing. Let's go to the card. She's like, all right, I got it. She's got whole stories coming out left and right. I was like, this is so great. I think that's all I'm doing right now. Oh, I just had my first in person. So yeah. Yes.
Very
So
exciting. Now you're doing something special too with Valerie coming up, right?
yes, this weekend, this is how I roll. I'm not sure what day, but I know it's this weekend, is we're gonna do tarot and astrology. So I'm the tarot part. This is my 3rd event with Valerie, and we're 2 witchy women. And it's always something that I don't know about. And I love this because I'm the noob and she already knows about it. So I just bring my aspect of what I'm learning and I read cards. It's always tarot with me. So I'll accompany the zodiac, in this case, with a tarot read so I can learn the zodiac too. So it's beneficial.
I love that. I think it's on my calendar to attend, and I don't remember the day either, honestly, but I love astrology. would never try to do astrology because it's just way too complicated for me. And I think astrology tells us everything we ever need to know about our lives, past, present, or future. Honestly, I love it.
It does. It's so insane. I was just reading today that when we started looking at the planets, when our eyes saw the sky, we only could see, there were 7 planets that were visible, or 6 planets that were visible. No, 7. Sorry, I just read this. 7 planets that were visible. So early astrology is slightly different than what we have now, because then we developed telescopes. We've furthered our distance, you know. It's interesting how people can adapt and evolve the modalities that they work with to keep them relevant. And I love, you're right, astrology to me is way too complex to learn. I would not enjoy that. But approaching it just from, we have this many planets that mean this, the zodiac signs mean this, keeping it very simple in my head. I love that aspect. I leave the other stuff to like people like Valerie, who will go out there and learn those things.
Yeah.
So as we're kind of winding down here a little bit, you know, we talked about your meetup groups. If somebody wanted to find or have a reading with you or find out more about you, is there somewhere they could go? Do you have a website or?
I do, willowroottarot.com. I've been on a hiatus from taking clients, but I'm coming out of that now. I have to set up my scheduler on my website. That's my last thing. But I will be taking private clients again this year. This year, I've been saying this year, the energy this year is phenomenal. And it's for everyone to enjoy. I've been spreading this around. You don't have to do anything. Standing still is perfectly welcome, because the energy exists regardless of how you choose to commit to it, or even just kind of bring it into your life. So part of that for me is taking clients again. So yes, if you'd like a reading with me, you can book with me at willowroottarot.com.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this. I'm so happy.
This was so fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.